Hey everybody, it's Bruce of Nature Calls, and this is the Hilleberg Anaris. It's their trekking pole tent. They're one of their lightest weight tents they have, all together with 12 pegs, with the inner tent, the outer tent, all the different guy lines. It's 3 pounds, 1 ounce, or what is that, 49 ounces. I know a lot of people go for, something like the Z-Packs Duplex, which is 19 ounces with no stakes. So, if you add stakes, I think you need 8 for that. You can do the shepherd hook. You use shepherd hook with this. I wouldn't recommend it. I think the groundhog style is what you need, especially here in Washington, where we have some pretty rocking winds. But say if you want to try and match a tent like that, you can take the inner out, and that would be probably a good 16 ounces off. So now down to 32, and then the trekking pole, the stakes, you probably kill a few more ounces with that. But the key with Hilleberg is that their fabric is so nicely waterproof. It's very durable, rip, tear resistant. This is a Curlon 1000. It's just one of the best. It just sheds ice. You just shake it in the morning, and away it's done. Or you can go with the DCF. I mean, it's kind of like they're it's one way or the other. The DCF doesn't stretch, and in high winds, you want some flex. That's basically what why a lot of tent manufacturers either don't use DCF or they do. They're sacrificing that lightweight, and like a DCF 50.51 ounce, not even near as strong as this. So, you kind of get what you pay for. You trade off. Personally, I like double wall tents. I've got a single wall trekking pole tent just like this. I don't like that condensation. This is much better with ventilation. You can see all the spots where it's got a big footprint for the tent, but the inner tent is kind of closed inside there. So you're not going to get any rain on there. If you need to, buckle in for a big storm, you can drop everything and tack it all to the ground. We took this tent on, so this is the tent that we used on our big trip that we, put in the lottery for. It's probably one of the most epic backpacking trips or hikes or whatever you want to call it in Washington, the Enchantments. And we decided to all go with Hilleberg tents. So we had 2 Hillegs, we had a Solo Black, a Neac, and the Anaris. And the Anaris is what I took because I had never used it or done a review on it. And so I wanted to, really give it a test and really get to know it. So I did. 2 people sleeping in it, plenty of room. I was set up faster than anybody with this tent, and it did just great. Did just great. We were up in snow. It's not intended for snow. It's basically a snow-free level tent, just because you can see it's designed to be more ventilation, more rain deflection. But it's really an awesome tent. You can just set up the outer. You can lift it up and have awnings. You can just set up the inner. There's just lots of ways you can do it. I'll put the link to Hilleberg's site where they go through all of those different setups. But I want to say, as far as a tent, me using it, it was great. No problems. Carrying it was nice and light. Do I personally like this style of tent? No, I don't. I like to have things way off my face. So I prefer the dome tent. But it's for its style, great tent. All right, so here it is in a stuff sack. There's no tent pole, so you can squish it, way down, small, but just as it sits, pretty much your standard, what is that, 21. So all tents are basically 19 to 21 inches long in their thing, but you can squish this all down. Very small. You can really get it going there. So let's do the first setup. We got a little tiny breeze hitting my back. Go ahead and take those little precautions of the wind. Pull the stake bag and get a stake ready. Back in the pocket. And if it's super windy, you want to find one of your stakeouts and just stake that down a little bit. You take your stuff sack, put that in your pocket. I'll just roll it on out. Take a look at it. We'll go with that stake. We're going to stake out the floor. Those stakes that they provide the 12 of these little kind of mini groundhog style stakes. They're the Hilleberg. They're made by DAC. Just great. This is just perfect for this tent. Of course, always longer ones do better, but let's go with these. But they give you plenty of these. So let's go next step. Next step, did you find this little sleeve? It's kind of heavy duty, vinyl-ish. They made it pretty long. I'm sure they had their reasons. But we're going to stick our trekking pole in. You can do this tent like tied up between two trees. Now we're going to extend out our pole to 135 is the tallest that they recommend, and that's pretty much the extent of my poles. So I'm going to actually go down right about there. 125, I think, is where I had them on my trip. Here's that pole sleeve again. Stick that in all the way up, and put that in the ground. Put that over the top. Now we'll use their guy line. That all the way loosened up. I should have made sure these are all loose when I packed it up. Get your guy lines, and these are I think the 2 millimeter, really nice lines. They're really tightly woven. They've got great grip. Just awesome. You can do all this with gloves on. All right, so with just the bathtub floor tightened down, now we're just going to do a little tweak on the top. And they built these things so nice, that putting a little pressure on them is super nice. So you can see the wind is hitting on this side. So let's go ahead and guy out the corners. So if you can, you want to kind of aim your guy line to that far pole. If you have the room. On our hiking trip, we didn't necessarily have the room, so you kind of got to do the best you can. We'll guy out the vestibules, make sure those are set as long as you can get them. Real nice webbing. Just kind of pull it out. Not going to go super tight because we can adjust all this later. Now that I've got all those guyed out, let's kind of go around and tighten things up a little bit. And once you're kind of happy with all that, they've got they've got one last line here, and this is for the top of the inner tent top part. So if you want to get your inner tent kind of in a boxy structure, you don't have to use these. We'll just put them on the same stake as we were using before. There you can see the top of that box. You don't even, so you can see how this is kind of pulling down a little bit. You can actually detach that if it really bothers you. It's still super rain shedding. I'll go ahead and go around and get all those done. Okay, so there we have the tent all set up. Definitely see where there's a lot of airspace underneath. So that will give you your ventilation like crazy. If it did storm up, you lower your trekking poles and bring that right down to the ground. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. Yeah, definitely great ventilation, which is with my single wall tents. It's just not good. There's too much condensation, in my opinion. They definitely use their, all their strongest fabrics is the Curlon 1000. Super hard. I mean, you can't rip it with your bare hands. They use some heavier duty stuff over the trekking poles. All their sewing is just top notch. They're using a lightweight zipper, but it's still a great zipper. I mean, this is all strong stuff. Let's go ahead and peel it back and take a look inside. Nice big zippers. Again, you can use those with your gloves on. Roll this on up real tight. There's a huge vestibule. Got to get in there with my body. It's just huge. Here you can definitely see, let's bring it in real close. You can see kind of the Hilleberg way of doing things. They've got like a good, at least a 4-inch gap, if not larger, between the inner and the outer. So, the outer is breathable. So your hopefully most of your breath moisture, which is where all your condensation kind of is coming from, can kind of get through this mesh door. This mesh door, there's no mosquitoes getting through that. That is super tight. So yeah, so it's really good. And then of course with all Hilleberg tents, you can make it so you can take the inner out completely. So you can take this whole inner tent out, or you can set it up by itself. It can be done. You can make tarps. Go on the Hilleberg website. I'll put the link below to the Anaris, and they did all the different setups with it. But they've got like a full tarp, like a canopy. They've got it all going on. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get inside. Big door. And that back. I almost wish they would add another tie back loop. I know you can get really good at doing these tie backs, but having two would be really nice. So in we go. Fantastic. Okay, so it's a 2-person tent. And we had 2 people in it on their enchantment trip. And they definitely made it just wide enough for well, it's 48 inches wide according to my measuring tape. So, with 25-inch mats, you're gonna be pushing out the sides a little bit. One end to the other. They're definitely trying to get into that ultralight market. So that's 87 inches or 7 feet 3 inches for the length. So now this is just laying in here, and it was good. It was fine. Personally, I don't like having this right here. I like dome tents. But But I know there's a lot of people out there that are using these trekking pole style tents. And so when you're up on your pad, you know, you're even closer to this top part. You could slide down just a little bit, but you know, so on your pad, you're gonna be pretty close to that. And I personally don't like that. But there's plenty of people who do. What's nice is that the way they've got this double wall is that even if your sleeping bag and everything is up against this, you're gonna get way less opportunities for condensation getting on your sleeping bag. Most condensation will be out on the outer tent, not on the inner tent. And I like double wall tents. And it's kind of hard to show the camera, but they do have little loops in here if you want to put a clothesline or whatever in here. Kind of interesting. They don't have like any pockets. Isn't that interesting? Never noticed that. Not that I have a lot of things in pockets. I just set them like where I know where they are instead of in a pocket. But pockets are nice. All right, so there you have it. The Hilleberg Anaris trekking pole tent. So it's as close as they're probably going to get to, you know, a lightweight tent. They aren't known for a lightweight tent. They're known for tents that can withstand some pretty good storms. And I would put this tent up against all other trekking pole tents for storm worthiness. This would definitely, I would feel safe in it. And I know it would do the job. And they add enough things like guy out points and their stakes for those worst case scenarios. In a couple of years, I'll be doing the PCT. Will I consider this tent? Yeah, I will consider it. I don't like the tent on my face, but who knows? Who knows? It just might be fun. So, all right, I'll see you on the trail. Bye now.